I think I share this with all of us here at our families tonight, that I think the most important reminder that surfaced throughout all of our lives, and I'm sure you will agree, that it happened on American soil. And then despite, we all have had setbacks, losses, and interruptions in our lives too, but they were all done on fertile ground in America. And I think the basic thing that all of our ancestors had was that we want to raise the children. We want to have a good life and live in a surrounding that just provided all these opportunities that were given to us. And I concluded that those things consisted of family, friends, community, and country. And that's something I think we all share. And just to highlight what Susan had mentioned, to us as a family, it's really important to recognize the people and the organizations, the people in the community that really helped us. And first of all, as we spoke about Captain Renton, Fort Kegley Mills, we talked about earlier about all the opportunities that he gave to everybody, including my grandpa, which Susan mentioned about $1.30 per day. But just on that income, he was able to build the barbershop and living quarters above the barbershop on Winslow Way in Bainbridge. I think that's remarkable considering the times, the current economic situation as it is. And one little highlight I was going to add, you can picture this barbershop there, and later was developed into a laundry shop and a bathhouse. And in the window, in one of our photographs of the family says, haircut, shave, and a bath, 50 cents. Now that's a pretty good bargain, even for those things. Now the next helping hand was 1924. Susan mentioned about being able to buy the property, which we still have. The Conoco Market organization, or company, owns the property, and it was through a member of that family that enabled us to buy that property. Well, that's been a very beneficial, helpful situation for us even today, many years later. Another generous offer was Charlie Berman. He owned the meat shop. You've seen the pictures here. That was the meat shop that Dad first got the job for $12 a week. And then later, during the same time, Dad got married. And again, as we mentioned before, when the brother and sister families exchanged, in 1933, my father and mother were married in an arranged marriage, which included the sister marrying my mother's brother on the family property. And that kind of get confusing times, I realize. But to economize, and you all can appreciate this now, they all went together on the honeymoon in the same car, one car. Now, some of you might say that's a stretch, but hey, we were Depression type people, and so I think a lot of you can identify with that during that era. And then after the World War II, and continuing the theme of who helped our family over the years, we can't forget Walt and Millie Woodward. As some of you may know, they were editors of the Bainbridge Review at the time, and owners, and they just took such a courageous stand defending the constitutional rights of the Japanese American families, who had to leave. And the Woodwards continue to be admired and respected for their principles during a real difficult time in the community's history. But, the living conditions at Manzanar were really challenging because it was cramped. It was about 20 and 25 foot room, and there were 9 of us living there. And you had to adapt to eating in mess halls. They were a block away or so. And of course the restrooms as well were about a block away. But they tried to compensate by working and finding useful employment, which Susan talked about. Another act of kindness was Tub Hansen. Some of you in state politics remember he later became the state legislator for the state of Washington. Anyway, Tub Hansen, after we got out of the camp in 1945, the spring of 1945, he offered Dad a job on the cattle ranch. I was only so when I went to camp, I was two and a half years old. And my perspective is totally different than my older brothers and my parents. I had all my family with me, my grandparents, my brothers, my two older brothers, my parents, and I thought it was like summer camp, because my take on it was entirely different. And as you all can identify, all of you that had children or grandchildren know how kids behave under those circumstances. So when we went to the cattle ranch, I said, well, gee, this is even greater. This is a cattle ranch. I get to play, ride horses and brand cattle, and this was great fun. But anyway, we had to do that because the atmosphere, the racial atmosphere on Bainbridge was not quite ready for us to return. But we did return that fall. And then again, starting the grocery business, another helping hand was, as Susan mentioned, Ed Loveridge, who was a longtime partner with my dad and uncle. And also another helping hand was the Winslow Town investors, who offered a brand new store, which is currently the Town and Country Market. And they built that for them in which to operate, which was at that time the state-of-the-art grocery business. As we all know, it became known as Town and Country Market. And my late brother Don led the expansion on the business in communities of Paulsville, as you all Paul's boys know, Ballard, Greenwood Shoreline, and Mill Creek. And then I know our grandparents would really be pleased to see how many of the descendants are continuing to follow the American dream. They had a vision for themselves and their family as well over 100 years ago. The individuals who married into our family as husband, wife, son-in-law, or daughter-in-law, uncle or aunt have supported that dream as well. And I'd like to recognize our Aunt Yo Nakata tonight, who is our last remaining second generation, or Nisei, family member. Our Aunt Yo. And Aunt Yo, I can truly say today, with sincerity, that you are my now favorite aunt. She and her late husband, Uncle Ken, raised 7 children, who are among my grandparents' 23 grandchildren, 24 great-grandchildren, I have to correct Susan, and 12 great-great-grandchildren. And I know my father would probably say with a big smile, hooray, we're going to be in that phone book for a long time. Yeah. We hope we have reflected the mission and purpose of our historical society to cherish our past and to appreciate our ancestors' accomplishments. We are blessed and forever grateful for our friends, community, and country. We congratulate the other families here tonight and celebrate with them this special event. And thank you very much to the Kitsap County Historical Society for this very special honor.